Hey, Kevin,
Yeah, Daryl.
what do you reckon about flying?
Oi, Tess! Stop bloody bouncing your sister into the coral tree! Bloody caviar! Sorry. What were you saying?
I was just talking about flying.
Oh, right. Why?
Oh, I don't know. I just think it might be really interesting to see the world from that angle.
Wait, are you saying you want to fly?
Well, maybe?
But you're an egg.
Yeah, I know, but I could wear a helmet or something.
Oi, Tess! Stop putting the bloody decorative pebbles up your nostrils! Look, Daz, I just don't think eggs are meant to fly, mate. Ow! Tess, what did I just say?
Oopsie.
Flight Simulator, where you can fly anywhere you can dream of, as long as you are not an egg. Please verify that you are not an egg.
Melanie, do you reckon I can have a go at flying your kite?
I don't know, Daryl. Isn't it illegal for eggs to fly or something?
Well, yeah, maybe. I don't know, but I wouldn't actually be flying myself. I would just be, holding your
Oi,
kite,
babes.
which is-
Is this egg bothering you? Because I'll end him if he is.
No, sorry, I was just...
Oh my god, that's like so romantic.
Melanie, your kite!
Oh, wow.
All right, Humpty Dumpty. Do you know why you're here?
I tried to fly.
You try to fly. And do you know what happens when eggs try to fly?
They have fun.
This is the third time this year you've tried something like this. What's going on, Daryl? Look, you're a good guy, Daryl. I'm gonna let you off with a warning. But this is the last time, okay? You should really get some help, mate.
Egg. A vessel for housing tiny embryonic life forms that have evolved over millions of years to live in complete symbiotic harmony with one another. But can eggs fly? Yes, I think they can.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to LFG, where we find a party to share what they've learned from game making. I am your host, Tina, and today with me I have some of the devs of the game Strayed Lights. And to kick us off, I thought maybe I could have both of you kind of go through and introduce yourselves, tell us a little bit about you. So, Damien, why don't we start with you? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thanks, Tina. I'm Damien, CEO of Embers. We're both co-founders of the company with two other people. I come from the mobile industry initially, and that's the first time with Embers that we are working on PC and console games. But we've been making games for myself more than a decade now, and yeah, we just released Trade Lights, the first game of Embers, and we are very proud of it.
Yes, it is absolutely wonderful. And then next, Maxime, would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself as well?
Yeah, hello everyone. So I'm Maxime. I'm the game director at Embers. Like Damien, I come from the mobile game industry. First, we worked together before, and yeah, it's been 10 years now that I'm making video games. I'm a game programmer at first, and so yeah, now I'm more into team management and stuff like that. But yeah.
Yeah, I was a
Awesome.
developer too.
Quite the change.
It's not done.
Yeah.
Past
Yeah.
us.
Awesome. Well, I'm very excited to dig into the game that y'all have made. It is absolutely incredible. But for anybody who's watching who may not have heard about it before, do you mind giving us kind of an overview, a synopsis of what the game is and what we can expect today?
Yeah. So Stray Lights is a single player game, 3D action adventure. It's targeted at mid-core players. The philosophy behind it was to bring the joy and the flow of the hardcore Souls-like games to a broader audience. So remove everything that makes it very difficult and complicated and die and retry and stuff like this. Remove all of this and just keep the flow of, okay, a successful battle, how it feels and how it kicks. Bring this to more casual mid-core players. And that was the idea behind Straight Lights. And so yeah, the experience itself is entirely around emotions. So you start the adventure with the birth of your character, a little child that you will embody for half of the game, and you will face emotions, because in this world, emotions have the tendency to deform the people, I might say, who lived in it when they get overwhelmed by a specific emotion. So that's what you are trying to do. Help your brothers and sisters just return to a more balanced state. And this is basically the bosses that you encounter in Stray Lights. So in the first half of the game, you are gonna face childhood emotions. So you face more simple emotions. And in the second half, you switch to an adult. And the whole adulthood complexity that goes with it. So you have more complex emotions to face. That's the background lore of it. It's not written anywhere. That was the main inspirations for us.
Yeah, and the gameplay is you are in this game, you are a being of light that can switch between two colors, and the combat system is based on this. So as your opponents are much bigger and much stronger than you are, you have to parry their attacks to absorb their energy. So to do so, you have to match their color and then parry the attacks that are coming towards you. And by doing so, you absorb the energy. And once you have gathered enough energy, you can do some kind of super attack to defeat your opponent. And as Damien said, when you defeat your opponent, you are not killing them, you are just soothing them, actually, to turn them back normal again.
Yeah, this is awesome. I love the concept of it. It's a very, I feel, kind of unique way of approaching storytelling, because it's specifically considered wordless, I believe.
Yeah.
Which is an interesting experience there. So I'm really excited to get into this and really dive in. So for everyone watching, I'm going to be taking the reins at first here. I'm gonna go through and play some of the game from the normal game perspective. Figured that might be kind of a fun thing. I have no promise of being good. So let's just throw that out there now. You can't roast me too much because I let you know beforehand. So we're gonna start with me. I'm gonna play through just kind of the normal game, get some of that perspective and experience, and then at the end, we're gonna have kind of a fun twist where we get to explore some of these different difficulty modes that you have just released. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Very cool. Very excited. It's gonna be a good time. I'm glad I'm not the one doing the hard mode, because that would be painful for everyone, myself included. So yeah, awesome. I'm ready to dive in if y'all are.
Let's jump in.
All right. I'm gonna start a new game here. It's outing me for attempting it earlier. We're gonna do just standard. Alrighty.
So now here, this is the introduction sequence of the game, and you are witnessing the birth of your character.
I love how immediately you're just immersed into the experience. You're literally waking up into the world. I think that was a really good choice for getting into it in the first place.
And there you go. So this is, yeah, you're going to have lots of information that are not written anywhere, not even in the art book or anything. But this state of pure light represents the purity of child who is still not really conscious of its being. And that's why it's only pure light, and it's innocence in itself. But you're thrown into a not so welcoming world.
I love the animations. It is so adorable.
Yeah, you are taking your first steps, so you are kind of clumsy, you know, and your senses are starting to come, like the sight. So that's why it's still a little bit blurry, and the lights are blinding. And then,
but then you take a grasp of it.
I do love the little detail that you added of the footsteps that glow behind me. I'm probably going to be taking many moments like this of just purely cinematic shots because it's so beautiful. I just want to see all of it.
Thanks. So you're currently into some kind of a hatchery built by an old, now gone civilization.
Yeah. I was going to ask if those were like eggs or...
Yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah, kind of. But there is a whole background and idea behind all this that is not written anywhere. But yeah. We don't want to disclose too much because it's part of the fun of the experience.
Yeah, in general, we like games that are not giving all the answers to the players, you know. We like games that just give hints and you know, like pieces of the puzzle, but you have to put them together yourself, and you can have your own interpretation of what is going on, what are these ruins,
Yeah.
what is this for?
Yeah.
So that's the first
Oh,
step
no.
into the very full welcoming environment you're living in.
So sad.
Yeah, the purpose of this is to really make the player understand that this is going to be more of a journey than a happy travel. As is life, basically.
Wow. I love how intense the mood shift was as well. And it was very, very impactful. How did you manage to find a way to balance very stylized graphics like what you have here with still some sometimes very intense themes and intense experiences that the player goes through?
You should ask our environment artists because that's a lot is coming from them, and yeah, the whole art direction of the game is created and crafted around the gameplay, because the first thing that the most important for us as gamers first is to have a game that is actually fun to play, and when you have a good gameplay, you want everything to be shaped around it to actually foster it and emphasize and help it, and that's why even the tones used, the hues of the different levels and everything, it's always going to be a bit dark for a simple reason. The base, as Maxim said, the base of the game is colors, and those colors shift between blue and orange, and this is the core of the action we are asking the player to do. So the rest of the screen has to be like a bit more in the background and has to not drive too much attention. So you have those cinematic moments normally only when you don't have too many fights. And when there is more action, then the environments will just, slowly move back a step.
Yeah, so the characters stand out as they should, and the gameplay still remain readable.
Yeah.
So that's why we have so bright colors and so much contrast. And as you see in the game, each level has its own color palette, actually.
I love that. So each one has kind of its own theme that gets to be followed.
So now here in this cinematic, you see the main antagonist of the game that you'll meet several times.
The only one that will follow you all the way to the end of the adventure. There he is, stealing your heart. This is
But we got a sick hairstyle out of it. So it's not all bad.
Hello?
Okay, so now here, after this cinematic, this main antagonist brought kind of the unbalance in you, so you are not the little baby, perfect light being, and so that's why now you have this color shifting mechanic, yeah. And so here is the tutorial, and you will learn how to fight your enemies.
I really enjoy the light changing mechanic because it really makes you focus on the fights. You can't just kind of almost go into auto mode, you know. I know I click this button to attack and all that. You have to really be in the moment and cognizant of what's happening in the fight.
Yeah, that's the idea, to be able to experience the flow of combat. Like you just know what to do and you just have to execute, and so it's kind of something to learn, but it can be very relaxing quite easily.
Get in the flow of
Yeah,
it.
really, it really requires a lot of and small adjustments everywhere to just have this smooth gameplay. It's based on parry, which is very hard at heart, because you have a small time frame to what your enemy is doing, and bringing this kind of hard things usually in the, if you take the Souls-like franchise, for instance.
Yeah, so there's it's mechanics that
rewarding
players would be used to,
actually,
but a new perspective.
Yeah, and focusing on this, we wanted to add this twist of the colors so that it's still approachable in terms of timing, but you still have this kind of, okay, I need to follow my opponent, and it becomes more like a dance, you know. It's really a way to respond, and once you start to learn the different patterns of the enemies, this is when it starts to really flow. And from what we've seen with the numerous playtests that we did prior to release, this is pretty efficient for the vast majority of player profiles. That was, I think that was the feature that we spent the most time on. It really took months and months and months to just polish and make it perfect.
I feel like, especially with how strong the design is of the game, I can understand why that would take quite a while to really perfect so it feels like it fits.
Yeah. So that's the first fight, where you actually have to, or you can, memorize the different patterns of the attacks.
Wrong one. No! I knew it would happen eventually.
It's fine. As we said, the whole idea regarding this gameplay was to bring this to a more broader audience than the hardcore players. So we had to rethink, find ways and solutions to remove some mental charge for the player. So, for instance, healing in this game is not something that you have to control or that you have to think of. The classic heal mechanics in the games for the last 20, 30 years is you need to run away from the fight, find some time where you have enough seconds beforehand to just chug a potion, heal, and go back to the fight. And this by essence, this breaks the flow of the fight. So that's why to heal in Straight Lights, it's integrated in the gameplay itself. To heal, you just have to play.
Yeah, you just have to continue the fight
That's it.
like you did before. And if you do
Yeah.
well, you will
Yeah.
heal and be able to continue.
Yeah. Parrying basically heals you and makes the fight advance. So you have no reason to focus on something else than just, okay, what is my opponent doing? Follow the colors, parry in sync, that's it.
Yeah.
And if you want, you can speed it up. You can attack afterwards. There are also some skills that you can use, and some passive ones that can help you if you struggle with some fights. Some more aggressive ones if you'd like to try to challenge you a bit more. But the whole classic mix of what you are used to in melee combats, in terms of systems, we try to simplify this as much as possible.
So this now here is the ability tree. So here you only have 3 that you can choose from, and as you advance more in the game, you will unlock some more abilities. So you can really tailor your game as you like, as your favorite playstyle. As Damien said, you have some more aggressive approaches and some more defensive ones. So you can choose between the one you like the most.
Yeah. All right, chat. What do you think? Which one should we go for? Let them take control. I do like that there's very different ways of going for it. I'm seeing offense. Are we going full attack mode? Guess we're going full attack mode.
Yeah.
All right.
And for the skill tree and the whole build mechanics, we kept the same philosophy. We want it to be simple and impactful. So instead of having hundreds and hundreds of skills that you can unlock all the time, we decided to have a fewer amount of them, but all of them are very impactful on the way the game plays itself. So currently, you could unlock one of the upper part of the skill tree. This is unlocked when defeating bosses. So each time you're going to finish a level by finishing a boss fight, you can basically unlock one more. The center one is the one that passively grows as long as you play. Basically, fighting enemies brings you more affinity with the energy, and so you gain more energy with each parry. You gain more energy with each attack and everything.
These are the collectibles. These are the collectibles.
Oh, those are collectibles. Yes. Sorry, it changed. It's changed a bit, and yeah, and the lower part of the skill tree is the one that you can upgrade with fighting the smaller enemies in the world.
Very cool.
Now you're backtracking.
I know. I'm always going where I'm not supposed to. Oh wait, is that where we started? Was back there?
Yes.
Yes.
I see. It all connects. Well, sometimes, I feel like you have levels that are completely separated from each other, so it's cool that I could literally go back to the good old days when I was nothing but a baby Ember. I really do enjoy all the hints at like a much older civilization in all of the environments. It's very mysterious.
Yep.
Yeah.
This is one of the smaller enemies that you will find in the world. There are different types of them.
It swapped up on me so fast. That was so rude.
And so these enemies, unlike the bosses, have way less energy inside them. So that's why you can see they have a health bar, and when the health bar is depleted, they just drop on the floor and become inactive. And when you finish them, you gather the crystal they have in their heads, and these crystals are used to upgrade your character because you are rebuilding the heart that has been destroyed by the main antagonist. So now here you are able to attack, so you don't always have to wait for your opponent to hit. So you just have to time correctly between parries and attacks. And this is the second way of getting energy.
Yeah.
It's less effective than parries, but it makes you more active.
Yeah. And this was actually a pretty complicated decision to make, to remove the attack completely from the first part of the tutorial. But this was the only way for us to help the players shift their mind around what they are used to in other action adventure games. 99% of the time, the first thing you try to do is to attack. And
right.
If there is an attack, but it's less effective than the parry, you're never going to use a parry. So that's why we took the approach of, okay, let the player learn the parry in the safest possible environment and where there is absolutely no other distraction. So first you learn the parry, then you learn the shifting color mechanics, then you learn to dodge, and then you had your first fight. And only after that you discovered the abilities, and only after that you can now attack. And that was the only order that we tested that was making player actually learn how to play the game and learn to love parrying instead of attacking. That's been quite a long journey in the development to find this way. It took so much effort and so much trial and errors. It was crazy.
Yeah, because we did a lot of playtesting throughout the whole development of the game. For every level during development, we were doing some playtests very early. And for the earliest playtest, we didn't have this tutorial. So we just, threw like a list of commands and say, okay, now play the game. And every player just did what they are used to. So attacking and dodging most of the time.
Yeah.
Because it's easier. Because parries in most games are some advanced mechanics. And they were not really having fun because the game is made to be played by parrying your opponent's attacks. Yeah. So yeah, they were struggling for minutes and minutes before we just learned them. Okay, try the parries; they are easy to learn. You'll see. And when you get this, the game becomes way more fun to play. And and actually,
it worked.
It worked. So yeah, after that we did the tutorial in this order.
Yeah. That's it. Here you are. That's the main hub of the first half of the game, where you play as a child. There are things to do in the hub. It's a peaceful place. There is no enemies lurking around or anything. It's more to gain freedom of discovering what the world has to offer. There are small secrets, there are things to unlock inside the hub. And And yeah, the players that likes to explore the different environments and find some hidden collectibles and stuff have something to do here. Otherwise, there are 3 different levels in this hub. You are facing one of them. And as I said in the beginning, each level, I didn't say it precisely like this, but each level is crafted around a specific emotion. We won't name them because we took an immense amount of work to not explicitly name them anywhere. But yeah, know this. Each one revolves around a specific emotion, and we use everything that we have in mind, in our possession, to at least make the player feel what the emotion is. So it goes from the obvious things like music, for instance.
Yeah, we haven't said this, but we had the chance to work with the composer Austin Wintory, who composed the music from games like Journey, for example, or Abzu, The Pathless, stuff like that. So yeah, very, very talented composer, and we are very lucky to have been able to work with him.
Yeah.
And a lot of the emotion we are conveying go through the music, and also from the visuals, the animations, and stuff like that, because there's no word written, no word spoken.
It was quite a challenge too.
Yeah, I'm curious at what point in the development was it a plan from the get-go to have this as a wordless experience, or was that something that you decided on later?
No, it was right from the start. As I said, we really like these kind of games that immerse you in a world, in a mysterious world, in which you have to take everything you can see and just try to put this together. And so it was something that we had in mind right from the start. It was not easy, but we really like the outcome of this. So we're very happy to have it like this.
Is there anything, speaking from kind of the start of development, is there anything that drastically changed from when you started to how it is now?
Yes.
Yes. Just for example, at first, we always had this color switching mechanic in the fight, but at first it was for parrying and for attacking too. Like, you had to match the color in order to parry your opponent's attack, but you have to be in the opposite color in order to attack, because it clashes and it makes damage. But it was it was just pain to think in your mind, okay,
hard.
now the enemy is attacking, I have to match the color. He finished attacked, now okay, I
have to match the other one.
I have to match the opposite color attack. Yeah, it was really, it was a pain.
And for a long time, there were no enemies in the levels. Only the boss encounter at the end of the level. We wanted to have this like very cinematic, quiet and peaceful moments.
Yeah,
just helped by something that is not in the game, but that we started for some levels, helped by narratives, painted narratives that explains basically the story of the level and the boss you're going to fight at the end. That was the first real advanced prototype we had. And but yeah, it felt very empty, and there were many issues with that. The contrast in rhythm between the quiet places and the intense fights, where actually the fights were way more intense. It's like 3 phases that you have to success in a row, and this was way more hardcore at the time, and it didn't work in terms of pacing, basically. So that's why we split different phases of the bosses throughout the level, added the smaller enemies that you are currently fighting, and focused more on the action side of things.
Yeah, the first versions were inspired by games like Shadow of the Colossus, for example, in which you have big environments in which you can travel, and then you have a boss at the end, and the boss fight take quite a long time.
Yeah.
And so we did some kind of thing like this with narratives. But when playtesting, the players didn't really like it. The rhythm was too contrasted between those two phases, and the narrative phase was too long for them.
Yeah.
So we just listened to them. Most was the combat, so we were like, okay, let's add some more combat with smaller enemies that you can find, that you can fight, and so that way, at the same time, you are experiencing more fights, which is what was working the most in the game. And you are also training for the boss fights that are way tougher than the standard enemies.
And so those are the energy orbs that improves your energy affinity level.
Interesting.
That also changed. It was not the case at first.
Right. Wow. Okay, we got a big spooky.
Yeah. This one is a bit trickier.
I am also curious about one of my favorite things to ask about is bugs. So I'm curious, especially with the unique design and gameplay and everything, if you had any particular bugs that stand out to you.
We had a lot of hilarious bugs actually with this. For example, at some point we integrated some physics, like ragdoll physics, in the character. So when you parry your opponent's attack, your arms follow the hits, but it was just ridiculous. Like it was like a dismembered corpse. It was very weird, and yeah, we took video from this because it was so much
hilarious.
Yeah, hilarious to see. But the game is meant to be not comic, it's meant to be pretty serious actually. So yeah, we just scrapped this. But it was a try.
Yeah. So many. It's always there will always be bugs that are crazy.
Inevitably. I wanted to jump for it, but I feel like I would die if I do that, so.
Maybe you're right. This is not punitive. You basically don't lose anything. You start a few meters away from where you left.
We also had a lot of bugs in which your enemy's collisions will, throw you like a cannonball. It was, weird. We have to, it was a lot of physics-related issues we had, which are the most hilarious ones, in my opinion, too.
Oh, with those creatures too. There were so many fun bugs. Like, there is a security when they basically find no action that matches the situation. They just jump and shrink. It's like not supposed to happen, and normally it shouldn't happen. But we had so many situations during development where it happened. It was so funny every time. It's like, okay, I'm out, and it jumps and it shrinks just in the most ridiculous way, and that was one of my funniest.
They just jump into the void.
Yeah.
That is hilarious.
if you
See an orb. I'm going for the orb real quick, and then I'll do whatever it is you needed me to do there.
no worries.
My completionist brain is... Ugh. It's gonna take me for a loop with this one, I can feel it. You're so cute!
I'm close enough, you can pet it.
Really? Do they run away?
Yeah.
I have to go slow.
Go slow. Yeah, now.
Oh my god! Okay, it's the best game. You can pet the fox deers, and that's all I needed.
We really need to make some plushies out of these characters.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh my gosh, that would be incredible. Wow. There's so many moments in this game, and I'm only, what, a half hour into it, that have been... I mean, this is just art. You could take a screenshot of this and print it out and hang it on your wall. It's just stunning.
Thanks. Yeah, actually, the community is starting to create some very, very beautiful screenshots. We have some reposts on Twitter coming. It's the best ones, the most beautiful ones.
Mm.
It's really such a crazy thing to see, having people play your game actually, and and taking screenshots of your game and being okay. Like that's the first time we have this. That was some lifelong goal, you know, creating an actual video game people are actually playing, and this is happening, and this is crazy. Good luck.
I am scared! Ah! Oh my god.
Small.
You might see what happens if you die. We'll see. Oh no. Oh. Oh, you just get bored with me? Okay. I get it. No! No, leave my friend alone! Alright, I might need to focus on parrying for a second. Get some health back.
Don't forget that you also have your abilities in case you need them.
This is true. I was told to go full offense. Here I am, just parrying.
Close one.
Made it out. This is all just for the suspense. I'm actually pro. Just bored with me. I am so offended. Here I am, doing my best.
You nice.
This boss here is one of the oldest one that is still in the game. When developing the game, we made first a very difficult boss because we wanted to test how's the gameplay doing when you are really, what are the limits of the gameplay. So we first made a boss that was very difficult, and then we made this boss that is meant to be played at the very beginning of the game. So that way we would have like the two limits of the game. What happens with a fairly easy boss, if I might say, and a very difficult one.
Yeah.
Let's see.
And with this boss, we
Is the
also
sound coming
had...
through?
Sorry?
Can you hear? Is the sound coming through for the game? Can you hear the music and everything?
We don't.
We don't.
Well, you chat. Can you hear the music? Want to make sure they're getting the full experience here. Okay. Sounds okay. All right. Just making sure.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt. Continue what you were saying, please. Sorry about that.
Yeah. So when doing this boss, as we have to work a lot on the animations and the behavior of the bosses, it was one of our first challenge to make it, he looks pretty innocent, pretty playful, but at the same time is huge and has a lot of strengths. So it's like a child that does not know his own strengths.
Yeah, that was a perfect example. Just playing with the deer.
No! I don't think I can jump over there. I feel like that's another one of those, if I try, I'm probably gonna die. But oh my god.
Normally, yes.
I was not emotionally prepared for that.
That would be fun to have your guess on the emotion that inspired this level.
So how many, because I'm sure we won't get to all of them today. And if it's a secret, like if you want people to only experience it by going through, that's also fine. But how many different boss fights did you end up designing versus how many actually ended up in the game?
Depends on what you call designing. Some fights that you can actually play from start to finish that didn't end up in the game. It was this whole level with the whole boss, 3 phases that didn't make it, for instance, and that's the bigger one.
Yeah, and we had another one beforehand that there was a prototype boss that we worked on that we scrapped entirely, but then we used the same emotion to make again from scratch. So it's 2 bosses made on the same emotion, and only one of them made it in the final game, and another boss with another emotion that just disappeared.
But in terms of the number of boss we imagined and we actually conceived, there were lots of them. Like maybe 50 or something. Because we had this like almost weekly challenge of creating an idea and a concept for a boss. And sometimes it went up to the point where, okay, he's gonna do this kind of combo, this kind of special attacks, he's gonna evolve in this kind of level and everything. So we had, I guess 50 is not exaggerating. We should have something like this in terms of concepts.
Yes, because
written ones with mood boards, with concept phase, with everything that you can imagine before making a decision of committing to, okay, actually making this boss work in the actual release.
Yes, because the whole team worked in the boss ideas and level ideas. We didn't say this, but Embers is a studio of about 10 people, and everyone can give their ideas, their feedbacks, and so we really made this game all together. So that was very, very interesting for us to have everyone participating in the conception of these bosses and levels.
Yeah. Me forgetting how to jump for a second. I don't want to talk about it. It is spacebar, the most classic space jump you could ever have. I'm gonna make it a mission to be hit by every single rock that he throws, and I think I'm doing a great job of that so far.
On track, yes. Ooh.
So that's when you are low life, the whole screen becomes black and white, apart from the characters who keep their colors to have them really stand out.
Yeah, we took the opposite direction of what games usually do. When you're low life, everything becomes usually unsaturated, black and white almost, and the audio often is a bit more mushy and everything. And we took the opposite way of, okay, you're in danger and difficulty, what can we do to help you? That was the idea. And to help you and show you at the same time that, okay, you're getting in a dangerous situation. So everything just, if there is a cursor on the contrast, we basically pushed it more so that you can see more the colors that you are supposed to match with your opponent.
Yeah, so you only have the gameplay color and the characters stand out.
Yeah. It's okay.
That
it's
was the
okay.
kick of the
I'm gonna
test.
get hit by every rock. This was just so we could see what happens if you die. That's all it was.
Yeah, it was just a demonstration.
Exactly.
But no worries, this boss is... This phase in particular is one of the most complicated because you have to track him. Each time you have this rock throw thing. And it makes the fight pretty long. So yeah, each try is a bit more intense.
Yeah, and for new players, it's the first big dodging challenge that you have with the rock throws and the high kick at the end.
Yeah, it is challenging, but it doesn't feel impossible. It feels like you definitely need to focus. But this doesn't feel like something where I'm like, I'm never going to be able to do this.
Yeah, that's what.
Though I'm sure the hard mode might change my opinion about that.
To be honest, I'm not even sure we're gonna manage to defeat like many bosses in a row in challenge mode. It's still, even for us, it's still a challenge. So yeah, it depends on what we try to show. But yeah, the challenge mode is really a completely different. And it only unlocks when you actually finish the whole game. So it's really for the experienced player.
I like that though, so you can't just jump right into it and you have to earn your way. Oh no. It begins. So I have to ask this, and don't feel like you have to answer in a polite way just because the fact you're on the stream. But I am curious why you ended up choosing Unreal Engine as the engine for this project.
Well, before that, we worked on mobile on using Unity, So we knew very well this engine, and we knew that for smaller teams and mobile game and, you know, this kind of games, it was very useful. But for this game, we wanted to have something much bigger, with a lot of with a lot of artists in our team, and we knew that Unreal Engine is some kind of industry standard for this kind of projects with a lot of artists, because they can do pretty much everything on their own. They don't need a developer with them, and that was something that really helped us. We created a lot of complex animation systems using the animation blueprints, and all the animations with notifies and curves and stuff inside it. And we knew that at the point we started the project, the animation machine state in Unity was way more messy and difficult to use. I don't know how is it now, but at the time we started this project, it was way better for us to use Unreal Engine. And and for our next project, we will still continue on using Unreal Engine 5 this time. This one has been made with Unreal Engine 4.
Yeah. And also there are lots of tools inside Unreal that are essential for this kind of games. The behavior tree and everything that comes with it, for instance, to design enemies AI basically in this kind of fights. It's I don't want to imagine how to do it in Unity like 4 years ago when we started. Maybe now it's better. As Maxime said, we don't know how it is now in Unity, but at that time it was like a no-brainer. Of course we used Unreal. And even the rendering engine was completely. It was not even comparable, you know.
Yeah, and also I feel like all Unreal Engine versions always have cutting-edge technologies inside them. For example, for the particle systems, now the nanite and lumen and stuff. It's very, very cool to have all these advanced tools that we don't have in other game engines.
Yeah.
I'm glad that it was at least a good experience developing in Unreal. Especially, I knew since you had said that you were working on mobile, I kind of figured it was with Unity for a while there. So I was hoping Unreal was treating you well. Glad to hear that it was a good experience for the development of this project.
It worked.
Were there any challenges that you any challenges you had to overcome kind of making the switch between the two engines, or did it feel pretty natural to do so?
It was pretty natural because the main concepts remain the same. You just have to learn what tools you have at your disposal. But yeah, it's mainly it. You have a learning curve. At first you are doing a lot of stuff for just basic things that you already have built in and you just don't know about it. But apart from that, it feels pretty natural actually.
Yeah, I'd say the main difficulty for me was switching from text code to blueprints. It's really a different way to think as a programmer. It's not that complicated.
No, and the good thing about this is that when programming using blueprints, we then could have the artists integrate their own work in the blueprints. For example, we have a character artist who is also doing some particle systems, and he can integrate them on his own. So that's just perfect for us.
Yeah, because the artists basically have kind of the same thing to master when it comes to material graph, So they are used to connect nodes and understand the flow of data and how. Almost. Was close.
So close.
Yeah, that's a pretty well-oiled ecosystem where things look familiar all the time once you are familiar with the engine. And this is one of the best thing. For instance, our 3D animator that work on the gameplay animations. When he first came, he knew very few about the animation blueprint, the basics only, and now he's doing crazy animation blueprints on its own, like almost coding and enjoying the whole possibility that this gives him. And this is something that's unique to Unreal, I think.
It's so much better the first time.
Yeah, spoiler, it's the last phase of this boss.
Alright, I can do this.
This is now.
Me? Oh, no. Oh no. It's okay. I'll get there. Let me check up on chat, make sure I'm not missing any questions from them. In the meantime, while I gather my gamer senses, I could do this, probably.
Yeah, you got this.
So I am curious, how is it for you? Since you made the game, do you feel like it's easier to play it, or do you still have difficulties with it?
No.
For us, it's quite easy now because we're playing it for 3 years, right from the start. But when developing the challenge mode, we surprised ourselves to be in difficulty when doing the bosses.
Yeah, the challenge mode, I'm not mastering it right now. But the game itself, the normal game, yeah, we know it by heart. Like, for making trailers, we did the footage. The vast majority of the footage, we did this ourselves because we feel we are the best placed to just know which angle to choose and which part we want to showcase and everything. So we spent days and days and days and days on the same fights. So at the end, I was like perfecting the combos with the eyes closed and deciding when to do like early parries or perfect parries and everything. But yeah, that's what happens when you play the same game for years.
Over and over again. But
5 days a week.
But even with this, it was quite enjoyable to rediscover the game when doing the challenge mode recently.
Yeah. Oh no!
So close. Oh,
So close.
So close. No.
One button away from actually winning the fight.
I know. So close. Like one more parry was all I needed.
Yes.
What was the feedback like after releasing? Has it been kind of what you were hoping for?
It's mostly positive feedbacks. We are very happy about it. A lot of people are actually enjoying the game and really, you know, being
yeah, just
how should I say?
Just prior to this interview, for instance, I was showing Maxim an email that we got like 5 minutes prior to this of someone explaining us that it's the best game he ever played in his life, and that everything is a piece of art, and exactly what you like what you said. And that's it. He just reached out and dropped us an email with this, and honestly, it's so heartwarming to have these kind of feedbacks. So yeah, we know the game is. It's not like a mass market game, for instance. You can't compare this to mastodons like the AAAs and everything. That's also what makes the soul of it. It's the essence of what we try to do, being a bit more artsy in every possible aspect. And we know it's not going to talk to absolutely everybody. Yeah. Congrats.
Yeah, congratulations.
But I think there is really a vast majority of the players that are attracted first to the visuals, because that's what you see first before buying the game. Actually enjoy the game. It's really, at least we did our best to craft this in a way of making this affordable in terms of challenge for new players or people that don't play very often, and still keeping the challenge a relevant level of challenge for players that are playing all the time or that are used harder games or everything. We did try to find this sweet spot, this balance between both. And yeah, looking at the reviews, seems like we did this pretty well. So I hope the updates will even bring an even broader range of players that can enjoy the game.
Yeah.
Because we also heard both sides, like the game is too short, the game is too easy. We heard this. And this was like guys that speedruns Dark Souls or something like this. Okay, yeah, it will be too short and too easy. But now it's a challenge mode. Should address this kind of issues. And on the other side, we plan also to release a story mode, because we heard the exact same thing the opposite way. Like, the game is too hard. I can't manage to handle all this. So we're gonna work on a story mode on one side to make the players enjoy it, no matter how good they are. So that's the idea.
Yes, to bring it to the broadest audience possible. But yeah, so far we are very happy about the feedbacks. Just 1 month before the release, we were invited at PAX East, and we had the game in preview, and we got so much love from players coming at our booth. It was amazing. Like, people were very, very kind to us, and there was a queue, a never-ending queue at our booth. It was, yeah, really surprising for us because it's our first game. We never did such big games like this before, and yeah, very, very happy about it.
That's awesome. It deserves all of the love that it gets, because it is, I mean, now I feel like I can speak from experience, having played it and getting rolled a few times. It is genuinely very fun, and I find it challenging, but I'm also not, maybe admittedly not the best at games, but that's fine. I enjoy them thoroughly,
honestly, you did
but
well.
I might not be a speedrunner. Thank you. I appreciate
honestly,
that.
pretty well. It's like,
awesome.
what, 3-4 deaths for a whole level, and 3-phase boss.
Yeah, I think something like that.
Totally what
Wasn't
we
too
aim
bad.
for. That's exactly what we aim for. No, truly. It's like there have been lots of statistics on death count, basically, and that was our goal, to remain basically under 4 deaths for the vast majority of the players.
Awesome.
You're there.
All right. Do you want me to continue on to another level, or did y'all want to take over and show us how it's meant to be played in hard mode?
Maybe we can show, now that viewers saw the normal version of the boss, maybe we can switch to the challenge version of the boss. And try our best.
I believe it's gonna go good.
So,
This will make it easier for me to pepper you with questions too. So now I can
yeah,
I can reverse it on
it's
you.
harder for
You're
me to
gonna be
answer that.
playing the hard
Yeah.
mode, and I'm gonna throw hard questions
Yeah.
at you just to distract you.
It will be more difficult to answer questions while playing.
Yeah. Luckily, we're two. Switch on the other. So, first thing that you can see here, I'm leaving some strange trails. And this is one of the perks you basically gain when you finish the trials mode.
And you are an adult, by the way.
Yeah, and you're an adult, yes.
You're not a child anymore.
And this is a development build. That's why there are cheats and stuff like this. But yeah. Basically, in the updates, two things are different. The first one is this small orb that appears once you have defeated at least one boss. And this allows you to replay exactly what you played, so that's the fight that you played, or you can switch to the challenge mode. And this is where you can train on the hardest versions. So let's jump right into it. It's not the same pace, it's way harder. Let's go. It'll be fun.
I'm excited.
I'm gonna stop talking now.
Not allowed. Not allowed. I have so many questions for you. I'm so excited. Oh wow. Okay. So even just immediately there's a difference in kind of the graphics around it.
You can see my life in 3 hits. That's not the same.
So
Okay.
yeah, the
Okay.
hits are faster. You have some other combos, some other color switches.
I'm a bit rusty. No, to be honest, I'm the one who played it the least in the whole team. Like I tried the fights times something.
That's why it's interesting to
Yeah.
play.
So you're gonna see me learn the fights because currently I don't know that. Okay, started to get it.
Wow. That is so significantly more intense, which I wasn't certain was possible with how intense I felt when I was playing it, but wow. Well, while you're fighting this one, I am curious if you have a favorite out of all of the bosses in the game.
Yes, of course. Mine is the one who looks like a butterfly.
Oh, mine's the same.
Ah, cool.
It's it's a boss you will encounter when you are an adult. And I don't know, maybe we can
Yeah.
phase. I don't know if you have it unlocked.
Don't have it unlocked, but pretty quickly. Okay. Oh, I'm getting. Okay. I don't know. Maybe you can explain the differences. Challenge mode. There are lots of them.
Yes, so as I said, the boss is quicker. He has some other combos, other hits. He also has some other color switches. There are more corrupted hits, the purple ones that you have to dodge. He deals more damages, and your parry window is shorter, so you really have to be precise when parrying the hits. And yeah, so here it's the memories, so you can rematch any boss phase that you already did, either in standard mode or in challenge mode. And once you have completed the whole game, you can do some kind of gauntlet challenge, which you have to defeat several phases in a row without dying, like you did.
Yeah, I said.
What do you mean? I feel like I would die in the cutscene. I don't think I'd even get to the fight and it would be over. So I think you're doing great.
And so in this mode, as it is quicker, you have to start learning the patterns, because it's difficult to just react to what you are seeing. Whereas in the normal adventure, you can either learn the patterns or react to what you are seeing.
This is me starting to learn.
So here you can
It's
see
the
it's a
warm-up.
counter attack that you can unlock with the crystal shards in the small enemies.
There's only one combo I still don't get. Rest is fine.
Very smooth.
This one.
Oh, come on.
It's coming. It's coming.
So for this this hard mode that you just released, especially since the attacks are faster and all of that, did you have to add in anything additional for this mode, or were you able to just take what you had already done and kind of just speed it up, maybe through sequencer or something? How did you approach that?
No, we really reworked every content that we already had, because we can't just speed up globally everything. It's not that interesting. So we had to be more precise about this. And we did a lot of playtesting also to have it just right balance of challenge and same time still be beatable.
Yeah, it's coming.
When it came time for testing a lot of these fights, did you do that just internally? Did you kind of offer copies to other players who had played the game before for their opinion? How did you kind of approach that?
For this update, we did everything internally because it was faster to iterate for us. But for the in-development playtesting, we did a bunch of different things. We had players coming at the studio, playing right in-house. We also gave some keys players to play at home using some playtesting tools. The one we used the most was a tool called Antidote, which records the playtest session, and so can give you some more key key information. So yeah, we did a lot of playtesting using different methods, having people in house, having people at home using playtesting tools. Yeah, doing some shows like PAX and stuff like that.
You've gotten so close pretty much every time.
Yeah, it's the end of the week. I'm tired. Controller and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty.
It's the
It's pretty
controller.
late for y'all. Yeah, it's the controller. The temperature isn't right
No,
either, you know?
Really took the worst player of the whole team. Like everyone in the team is better than me, but yeah.
So throughout the game, were there any fun Easter eggs that the team decided to put in there that either were related to some inside stories that had happened or things like that?
Yeah, there are several ones. But I'll not, I'll not tell all of them. But
Sure.
just know, for example, that in the adulthood hub, there are some other people like you that you can find and meet, and each one of them almost are actually members of the team that are been made into these game characters. So yeah,
That is so
The whole crew.
fun.
the whole crew. So it was pretty fun to, we just shared some screenshots of the game for friends and stuff, and they were like trying to guess
Yeah.
who is who.
That is so fun. How did you go through and concept those? Did you work with them individually, or were they made and they just kind of got to see their cameos?
They were made specifically for us by our character artist.
Yep.
So yeah, it was an idea that we had to just have us inside the game as an Easter egg. It was
Oh, come on. The last hit.
One last.
I failed the last dodge.
and yes, there are some more hidden stuff that
I'm
I
not
will
gonna
not
make it.
talk about.
There are some stuff that even like Maxim is the only one to know. Teased the team about content that he added that no one knows where it is. It's still to be fun.
The most hidden of Easter eggs.
Ah.
This is so intense. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And it's one of the first, huh?
Awesome. Let me see if I can pull in some questions from chat here in the meantime, so I'm not being entirely selfish with your time. We've got a question here from Sparky McSparks. They're wondering, what did multi-platform iteration look like? And did using Unreal Engine make it any easier? Any tips or lessons for anyone else who might want to be interested in doing a similar sort of thing?
Actually, we worked internally only on the PC version of the game, and we had a porting partner working with us. It's a studio in Ukraine called Pingo Studio, and so they did the PlayStation, Xbox, and Nintendo Switch porting stuff. And so they worked with us for 6 months, actually. So they did all the optimization stuff, and yeah, we worked together to have tailored experience for each platform. For example, the PlayStation DualSense feature, the light bar, sound in the controller and stuff. So we worked together with this, and after that, we just got back their code so we can do the patches internally. And yeah, it worked pretty well with the Unreal Engine. It was more porting issues, like the Nintendo Switch, for example, is way less powerful than the other platforms. So there were a lot of optimization to make in terms of memory, for example, or even with the sound, because the Nintendo Switch cannot play a lot of different audio channels at the same time. So we had to mix together some audio tracks to have it working, Switch. But it was the trickiest part, actually.
Yeah. feel like that's understandable. Were there any other parts of the development that you thought were kind of particularly difficult, and how did you kind of make your way through those challenges?
There was an internal tool that we made to handle the overall ambience in the game and the colors and the fog, clouds and stuff like that. So we created an internal ambience tool that was artist ready to be used. So
Really?
yeah, it was a tool that can control everything, the lights, the clouds and stuff, in which you can just take snapshots of the current ambience, and then you can fade through these snapshots to vary the general ambience. For example, this level, not in challenge mode because there's the storm, but as you played before, this level is more like in colors, and you have another level which has some more green tones. So you have a fade between those. It can hide and show objects and stuff like that. It's all dynamic, and it was quite a challenge to have it running. But I think the set of tools that we had with the Unreal Engine was actually very useful for this. We made some parts in C++ and some other parts in Blueprint. And yeah, in the end, we had it running pretty well, and we are happy about the result.
If you had to put, and this doesn't have to be the most accurate, of course, but if you had to put maybe a percentage on how much of the game was blueprints versus C++, what would you say kind of that ratio might be?
We made, I don't know, almost 90% of the code in Blueprint and only 10% in C++. Yeah. Actually, we only used C++ for the most advanced stuff that you don't always have access in Blueprint. No. But it's way faster for us to iterate using Blueprint. So that's why you mostly Blueprint. And also C++, when you have errors, you can have your editor to crash all the time, yeah. And it's sometimes difficult to debug this. Whereas with Blueprints, it's easier. It's less technical, actually.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I know. I've been trying to get into a.
No way.
Oh. This is
At
the
first
one.
I was
I can
not
feel
kidding.
it.
I'm actually really tired, so it's difficult to just focus. Ah. Okay. Want to try?
Maybe we can have a glimpse at.
Yeah, what a good player does.
You were so close. There was, I think, 2 tries ago. You even had the full bar, but he just smacked you just in time.
Okay. Yeah, I had the full bar.
Let's just try. I'm not sure to be doing it, but let's try it.
What are you gonna do if Maxime is able to get this in one try?
Accept my fate. He's not on the right track. Maybe. Yeah, the last phases of each boss, even this one from the first hub, requires some learning and some skills.
Definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, those are very primitive fights.
Yes. Yeah. So, do the bosses scale in difficulty, or would you say they're all around kind of the same level?
It's funny because it really depends on the players. For instance, I think I won't have that much of a trouble fighting one of the supposed harder bosses because it clicks with what I like in terms of fighting. And Maxime is like the opposite of me on this specific boss. Like every combo that I master perfectly and that I can do it with the eyes closed is like struggling like hell on this. And so yeah, it really depends on the people. It's actually quite funny. But yeah, the game is difficult to ramp up. And there is like easy order of the bosses. The first one you did is, in the general opinion, the easiest one, and the hardest one is the one in the green level. It should be, in terms of what we usually see, it should be the second boss that you face in the childhood hub. But again, it really depends on players. Some have issues with this, some don't. It's really dependent on what your preferences are. And yeah, the hardest one normally is it's pretty universal. This one in the childhood hub again. It's the one with the green level, the small companion that starts the level with you. It's pretty
Oh my
laggy
gosh,
too.
this one is scary.
Yeah, this one is intense.
So here this boss, as you can see, slowly destroys the arena, so you have to beat him before you don't have more
enough
room to fight.
We have another question in chat here, kind of focused around the animations. They're wondering if any of the movement or combat animations were motion captured, or if this was all handmade.
No.
No motion capture. Everything is handcrafted.
Wow. How long did that take?
Not that long, honestly. We have some pretty talented animators, and and yeah, they create animations very, very quickly. And we also have this overall philosophy that helps, especially in this area of development, where we try to focus on the essential things first and iterate. Try to have the first block-out version of every single aspect of everything, like block out of the levels, block out of the characters, block out of the animation, block out of the combos, and put this together as fast as possible so that we can actually experience it and try it. And this way, we can iterate over something that we know is either working, so we keep on iterating, either not working, and then we can throw away very early what doesn't work and pivot very early without losing too much time. So this gives us the ability to, in the same amount of time, try lots of different things without having to polish, and use the vast majority of our time to actually polish something that will end up in the game. So this is something that we have on every aspect of the game development, from the code itself to the animations, to the characters, to the render, to the environments and everything. Maybe you're not gonna see a victory tonight, huh?
Doing my best.
But yeah, this update was very exhausting to pull together. We really wanted to have this released today, So we spent way more time in this week than we normally do. And when we say we're tired, we're very, very tired. But yeah, it was a challenge, and yeah, we're very glad this actually came out today, because yeah, we wanted to showcase this tonight. That was one thing. Showcase this in a better way, because we're just basically losing our fights. But yeah, it's normally doable. Someone is at least some sleep.
I think this is incredibly impressive considering the amount of work and effort that was put into this week. So you being tired on top of all of that, I think you're doing very good. Here I am at the end of it all, peppering you with questions when you need rest.
Yeah.
This one is so scary. I don't know. The movements are so quick and jarring.
The scary thing is that the animator who worked mostly on the animations and new combos and everything, like perfecting every fight. That's funny when he comes to us to just, okay, can you test this? Because I find this too easy. And we're like dying in chain. Maybe you have to tune it down a bit.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I feel like
it's still doable.
Since they made it, it's a little. I feel like they've got the insider knowledge, you know.
Yeah, they know it by heart because they crafted every piece of it. We have to learn it. It's not the same thing. But it's still very manageable. It's just leaning towards, as I mentioned in the beginning, this category of players that are used to hardcore games. When you've played games like Sekiro, for instance, it's still way harder than everything that you will encounter in Stray Lights. But I'm trying to tackle this a bit more in terms of difficulty with the challenge mode.
I feel like it's definitely
Yeah,
you have successfully raised the ante for certain. I'm trying not to get too mesmerized, so I can still ask you questions while this is going. But so were there any tools in particular, or any smaller tips and tricks that you picked up along the way that you didn't know beforehand, but ended up being very useful for the development process?
Yes, many. Many things. The thing is, Maxim is the one who's very inside the engine all the day. I'm more on the organization side. So I'm not the right one to answer, but I don't think he can answer. Especially this close to the end.
It's all
yeah, I heard many times there are small tips and tricks. They were like, okay, how did I not discover this before? This is a life changer. And, but yeah, maybe I can showcase something.
Yeah,
else.
you can do it. Yeah. Let me think. There's actually a lot of quite few tools that are existing in Unreal Engine, but just you don't know about. There are even some epic shows that are just telling, okay, 15 things that exist and that you didn't knew about, and that are very useful. There's a lot of stuff about materials and stuff that are also well optimized that we didn't knew about at first, and also a lot of useful things inside the animations for the notifiers and the animation blueprint itself. But yeah.
That's awesome.
This one's harsh. Maybe let me try the
Were
one.
there any? I know we've talked about some general challenges of development and things like that, but do you have, let's say, your top pro and con for working on a project as a smaller team?
There is these interfaces.
The technical stuff.
In terms of technique or in terms of project management and stuff like this?
Let's do both. We can get both perspectives.
Yeah, we can start with technical.
Yeah. Well, you have to be extra careful because as you have a lot of very efficient tools inside the Unreal Engine, you can do stuff very quick. But if you have to iterate on those, you also have to be not too messy, like use interfaces and stuff like that. In our case, we sometimes didn't use them as much as we should. And when it came to create more stuff to balance bosses and stuff, we didn't had everything in data tables and that, so sometimes it's difficult to just open 20 blueprints and modify values inside them. These were the moments where we were like, oh god, we should have done this way cleaner than it is. But yeah, so it's a curse and a blessing at the same time because you can be very efficient, but the only limit is what you are doing if you need to iterate. So yeah. And
Yeah, I'm done. I'm done for today. You picked the worst two players. Yeah, on the project management side of things, I think we do really differently from the other studios. That we tend to stick to the deadlines that we fix ourselves. Like when we say, okay, let's allow, for instance, 2 months on this specific level or on this specific thing. We focus on making something that we can actually ship in the game and that we are proud of in 2 months. And so we are more in favor of stripping content to meet the deadlines and extending the deadline to fit the content. And this helps a lot in the production management, because you can have an almost guarantee that when you plan for your project to be finished, for instance, in, I don't know, 2 years, it's going to happen actually in 2 years. And you're going to have the last reminiscence of issues that every single developer has, but you can account for this. You plan for the usual 30% more. But when you have this philosophy of inverting the priorities between deadline and content, this really helps push people to actually do their best in the given time frame they have. And this reverses not only it's not just, okay, we have a deadline, we stick to it. It's really reverting the philosophy of, we want to do this, but we have only this amount of time to do it. So what can we actually do? Oh, finally one. Finally one. Oh my God, this is ridiculous. But yeah, when you reverse the idea of, okay, the deadline is actually fixed and cannot be moved at all, and no matter what you manage to do inside this time frame will end up in the game with your name on it. When you have this in mind, you don't work the same way as when you expect to finish this feature in a specific time frame. That's absolutely not the same. And this is, I guess, one of the most critical thing that makes manage to come up with so much things in a game in such a few amount of time. But the game development for this specific game was 9 people working full time, a bit less than 3 years. And this is normally something that should take way more, especially because we had the COVID thing at first. 3 years ago was exact perfect lockdown period with COVID, just in France, and it was a giant mess for the beginning of the adventure. But yeah, normally we should have shipped this almost a year ago. Yeah, this is one of the major things that I would recommend shifting.
Definitely. Do you have any advice for trying to think of a way to phrase this? Maintaining scope. Because I feel like two things that we talk about pretty consistently on the show is how scope creep is a very real thing that is unfortunately very easy to fall for. And also optimization can never get enough optimization no matter what. So what's your advice on managing scope and making sure that you still make the end game that you want to while still being realistic about what's possible?
Yeah, I won't go over the obvious thing of you are two people team and want to do a massive multiplayer online AAA game. That's not relevant. But yeah, if you, in terms of scope for this kind of projects, you need to prepare for the fact that you will want to put more that you can actually put inside the game. So you need to think and design the whole game with parts that you can actually scrap and discard, and the game still works. You need to. That's one of the approach. There are lots of approach possible, but this is for this specific project. This is the approach we took, and the game was made in a modular way. That's why you have the hub and the different levels that can spread from the hub. Each is a pretty, like, a small game inside the game. It's a small part of the adventure that works on its own, and the game was crafted with this in mind. Like, the main structure is basically the birth, childhood hub, adulthood hub, and the end of the game. This was in place quite early, and we just added more content. Initially, we planned to add at least one more level in the game, but we had to pivot at one point and polish this gameplay that I talked about earlier. This took longer than expected, but this needed to be done. It's like the heart of the game. We cannot not be at least excellent in one point. We need to be at least excellent in something, and our focus is the game feel always. And to focus on that, we had to strip something, and stripping something in our case was something that was thought of in the very beginning of the project. The way it is designed, in the way the world is built, and the project itself is going to be developed. And we have to strip a complete level, which takes approximately 3 months to craft, to be able to incorporate those extra iterations on the gameplay and the game feel.
Yeah, it was very important for us to have the most qualitative content, even if that means that we had to scrap some parts instead of just having all the stuff that we planned, but in a lesser quality.
Right.
So that's for the scope creep. And you asked for another thing, and I forgot.
I think it was about
optimization
The
optimization.
optimization stuff. Yeah. There are multiple ways to tackle this. Either you do it the classic way, you leave optimization and basically all QA, quality insurance, for the end of the project. So you plan for the standard, okay, we do pre-production, production, then we go to alpha stage, where we basically start optimizing and start fixing bugs. Then you're happy with this, you move to beta phase, when you actually move to a next scale in terms of playtesting and discovering bugs and next level of polishing. And then you go gold, and then you can ship your game. That's one way of doing this. That's not the way we like to do it because it's unpredictable. The amount of dust you basically put under the carpet throughout the production is not something that you tend to calculate or that you can really have control over by just putting it aside and telling, okay, we're gonna take care of this afterwards. So this was for us a dangerous approach. It can work, but it's dangerous because you never really know how much time it's gonna take. So we applied the same philosophy as before. I talked about fixing a time frame for a specific thing, like, okay, you have 3 months, for instance, to do this. It goes up to the feature level. When you target 3 days to develop a specific feature, then you basically give yourself 3 days to do this. Develop the feature, test the feature, optimize the feature. That's a real feature done. And this is something that we do throughout the whole production. This way we don't accumulate the unpredictable delay at the end and issues that we leave for the end. So we try to do maximum optimization QA done when actually developing a specific. Helps us manage the project as a whole and avoid this kind of black box that you leave for the end, which you don't want to touch, which is basically QA, and can really, really, really be dangerous for a game. Look at Jedi Survivor, for instance, the last Star Wars that came out. See, the optimization has been very problematic. I'm pretty sure. I think it's my sense, but I think it's based on the fact that this space is unpredictable, and it's the usual scheme that is used in the AAA industries. And yeah, at some point the game has to ship. They know it. No matter the size team, no matter the size of the project, you will have the same issues. So that's why we try to handle it the other way around. Definitely, the monkey is not gonna. We're not gonna make it.
This is the one boss that's just refusing to be beat. Awesome. Well, what do you think? Should we give it one more go? See if we can beat him, and then I can release you two since you've had a very long week and deserve some rest. I believe.
Yeah, this is the one try.
Too much pressure.
I believe. Got this. Come on, chat. Let's all believe. We got this.
Okay. Jump. So far.
I do love the design of all of the different bosses that we have been able to see so far. And they're all incredibly unique to themselves as well, which I have to give absolute kudos to the creative direction, because I feel like it's really difficult to make something still feel consistent with an overall theme, but still very different, and that it's not just the same experience on repeat. So amazing job with that.
Thank you.
So close. don't even want to distract you.
This is the mode. Agreed.
Okay, come on.
Agreed. Agreed. Yes.
There we go.
Get
At least
it!
one out of two phases.
Oh my god. Sorry for the poor performance.
Oh no! If anything, I think this was a great demonstration between the different challenge modes. I mean, it was already hard for me to get through, and then hard mode is
Yeah.
just insane.
Oh, you can showcase the trial mode.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Awesome.
this is something that is available anytime you defeat a boss in the game. Once you defeat the whole game, this mode unlocks, and this is basically a chain of the bosses in challenge mode that you have to face without dying. And this is what unlocks different skins for your player. So the
Oh,
footsteps that you
interesting.
saw, glowing footsteps, this is the thing that you gain when you finish the first challenge, first trial. And
Not this one.
optimistic. Yeah, you can. And there is another perk when you finish the second one, and obviously you get it. There's a final one with the whole.
That's awesome. Oh, is this a new one? You've
I'm
not seen
more
this.
trouble with, and I'm supposed to be fun. I don't want to demonstrate.
Oh man, it's a zippy one, isn't it? Insane.
Okay.
The danger levels here.
That looks more like how it should be played.
Yeah, this boss is way faster than the others.
Yeah, but this boss has two phases.
Oh. Do any bosses have more phases than the others?
Any bosses has what?
What's the largest amount of phases that any single boss has?
3.
3?
No. Not in a row.
Oh,
In a row,
man.
it's 2. It's 1.
This one's scary. This one is spooky. Let's see.
Yep. Supposed to be.
Checking for any more questions from chat in the meantime, because this isn't hard enough.
Yeah, luckily we are two. I can answer.
Let's see. Oh, do you have a favorite environment? I know we've talked about a favorite boss that you have, but is there a favorite level or environment that you have as well?
For me, it's the last one. Final one. I don't know for Maxime, but for me it's the...
I like the... Gosh. That's what happens when I'm talking at the same time. Yeah, for me
I
it's
sabotaged you.
the same environment than the boss who looks like a butterfly, because the environments and the boss are close tied together. So yeah, it's a general feeling that I like about this boss and his environment. So that's why I like this one the most.
Makes sense.
And even the
So,
music
if
is
y'all are
great.
interested,
Music is great throughout
yeah,
everything, but this one I love it.
sounds like that is your just favorite part of the game overall, is that particular section.
It's also funny because it's the last level that we crafted and we had more experience, obviously, and we had more tools developed, so did go a bit faster than the other ones. So we had the ability to push it a bit further than the other ones. So maybe this is why we have this special attachment to it, because we had more time. Basically, it's not time in terms of actual number of days, but we had more time because we were quicker on this one.
Right. Yeah. I feel like that makes sense. All right. Well, I have one final question for you all, since you have had a very long and busy week. But this last one is, what is, if you had pick one tip overall that you've learned during this project's development that you would like for other devs to know as they go forward with their own development, what would that be?
Well, for me, it's pretty much what Damien said before, but just focus on the essential. Like, you can create a whole bunch of stuff. Just focus on what's working the best and throw away the rest of it without spending too much time on this. And that's how you just keep what's the most fun and what's the most beautiful about your game. That's how you can push it to the max and make a game that you really love, that looks like what you want it to do.
Yeah, for myself, on the production side of things, I would say go see publishers as early as possible. Gather insights. Even if it's only a pitch deck and you have nothing to show, knock to some doors, at least some, to just see the reception of it. Train yourself to pitching and gather the feedback on whether or not it's trendy, too risky, too niche, or there are big issues that maybe you don't see, they see, and maybe they have other ideas and everything, and they can help you. They are often seen as big bad guys from the developers, but they are not. They also are the ones who keeps you alive as a company, because when your focus is on making a passion a reality, so creating a game, you're not most of the time you're not focusing on how you actually are going to live from it. And this is their job, and this is their insight. So yeah, don't fear going to ask them earlier. There are lots of them. If you're afraid, take some you don't want to work with and go talk to them. And this way you're going to have your training for free because you're not going to lose anything. So yeah, it's always interesting to have their opinion and their feedback. Yeah, be ready to listen. That's it.
Yeah,
Gamers
definitely. I don't think
gamers won't go easy on you anyway. So
true.
better learn it sooner than
Yeah.
This is true.
As we say it
Yeah. I
often,
don't think
if you're not a little bit ashamed of what you are showing, maybe it's too late to show it.
yeah, you just went too far. You should be ashamed of what you're
Interesting.
releasing. This means that you're releasing something.
This is true. This is very true. Something is going out, which is
Yeah.
a milestone, certainly. So
Yeah.
awesome. Well, fantastic advice from both of you. I don't think I've ever had anyone actually speak about reaching out to publishers to get their opinions. And I think that that is a really good piece of advice, just to get kind of that outside perspective on especially a passion project. I feel like it's really easy to
Yeah.
baby our own projects and be like, this is the most perfect project that has ever existed and there's nothing wrong with it. So it is helpful to get some of that
Maybe it is.
outside perspective.
Maybe it's
Yeah.
true. But
It is true.
maybe not.
Yeah. I feel like there's
So
always
yeah.
ways to improve, even in minor tweaks and things like that. But awesome. Well, this was such a pleasure having you both on here today. Thank you so much for being here, taking the time to come on, walk through the story of the development of this with us, as well as actually playing the game and allowing me to play the game. And it was so much fun. It was genuinely a really great time. So if anyone who's watching this is interested,
Thanks.
Well,
I have
thank
the
you for
link
having
for
us.
the game. Of course. Of course. It was such a pleasure. And anyone who's interested in playing, I have the link for the game included in the description. There we go, of the video, as well as you can find the link on our announcement post on the forums as well. So make sure you go get it and play it and let us know what you think of it if you do so. But yeah, with that, one last big thank you to both of you for coming on. Thank you so much, everyone who came and watched and participated and watched me get absolutely wrecked repeatedly. It was a good time.
It's 3 of us.
Yeah. I did okay. I did okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you missed any part of the stream, don't worry. We post all of our videos on our YouTube and Twitch channel at Unreal Engine, so you can watch any part of it. If you missed part of it earlier, don't worry. You can watch it anytime you want. And you can also follow us at Unreal Engine on all of our social media, as well as please come say hi in the forums where you can meet other like-minded developers, get the latest news, find tutorials, all kinds of good stuff is there. So come hang out there if you haven't already. And yeah, with that, we'll be back again next week with Inside Unreal on Thursday. So I'll see y'all then. And one last big thank you to Embers for coming on and playing their game with us.
Thanks
Bye,
for having
everyone.
us.
Thank you.
Thanks everyone.
Bye.
Bye.